Well, hello and welcome, Inon Dan Kehati. Take two of this discussion. We tried doing this last week. We spoke, had a very nice conversation. I really enjoyed it, but unfortunately, my devices were not recording properly. And for that reason, I thank you for your patience and coming back and doing this again.
Well, Baruch Hashem, Boker Tov, and thank you again for the opportunity. And, as long as we have patience and, of course, coffee, all good.
Coffee. Yes, sir. This time I got my coffee ready too. So coffee with Inon. Inon, my dear friend, we have been friends. Last week we discussed this and we figured out that we've probably been good friends for at least 4 years. And we came together. Are you there, Inon?
I'm here.
Okay, very good. I didn't hear you for a moment. So we came together on the platform of an organization that you have established and you are the head of. This organization is called The Home. And you called me up, reached out to me, I guess 4 years ago. And I think that I had seen your posts already, but then we got together and we discussed your agenda and activities. And I really found this a unique platform for what I like to call normalization, normalizing the relations between the people who live here in Israel, and particularly in Judea and Samaria and Jerusalem. And there are so many so-called peace organizations that give the impression that somehow they're trying to make good relations between the peoples, which they're not. And you have succeeded in doing something unique. Will you please tell us about your organization?
So, as you said, we are friends for more than 4 years. And I reached out to you because I saw something also very unique in someone that really represents a lot of values of Jewish identity that I relate to, and also openness for real dialogue with, our neighbors from the different and hostile communities in Yehuda v'Shomron. And so basically I will say a little bit about the Home. It's, like you said, it's a platform that I've established by my own, basically, without any fundings from anybody, and definitely not from foreign organizations or governments. That its main goal is to create normalization between, the Jewish and the Palestinian communities in Judea and Samaria, and really to develop relationships based on mutual trust, mutual respect, and also justice, and to bring to the peace process the hardcore Jewish identity and narrative that is very essential for this process. The values that says that basically we have zchut avot, the right of our fathers and mothers over this land, and the other people that are here, they also should be part of the system somehow, but it should not be based on foreign interference and should not be based on any other entity which is not Israeli or Jewish to basically be sovereign here. And basically what we do, we take people to clean up trash together, get people to know each other and do something together for the respect of our land. We call it cleaning the hate. And we also bring people from, let's say, the right wing in Israel to engage in dialogue with Palestinians, and in order to build a joint future that is based on that principles from our identity and also principles of human rights that also the others can be part of, basically.
That was a fantastic overview, and I think that we'll touch again on some of the things you discussed. So basically, your organization is supportive of Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. And you've been saying that for a very long time before it was popular in the news. Here we hear it, now we're hearing it every day, sovereignty, and what will that mean for the Palestinians who live here, and what would that mean for the Israelis who live in Judea and Samaria, and so forth. But you've already been pushing this agenda for years, offering very realistic, on the ground, feet on the ground solutions to questions that demagogues around the world pose as if they are the stepping blocks. We're never going to be able to do anything because these people can never do anything together aside for kill each other. And here, Inon Dan Kehati comes out and says, well, just a second. Number one, we don't want the genius of the foreign entities to come in and tell us what to do. We can figure it out for ourselves. And number two, let's put all politics aside and get some Jews and Arabs who live in Judea and Samaria. Let's get them together and go out and pick up garbage and show that we are just human beings, that aside for our political thoughts, we love this land and we need to protect this land, and we're going to go out together and we're going to pick up cigarette butts.
It's the cleaning is, it's all work in progress. It's steps. And I really believe in from the bottom to the top and not from the top to the bottom. As you said, the foreign interferences that basically from the top, they try to impose on us something that is not working and is not really relating to our identity. I think also both identities. And, when we create this normalization that people get connected and they build trust between each other, we can, and especially when we do it with the Jewish community in Judea and Samaria, then things develop in, the dynamic becomes so different that we can get into agreements that doesn't come with, again, with these foreign interferences and also the gradual thing, it's steps. I don't say that peace now, that peace will come now or maybe even tomorrow. But I do believe in peace, and I do believe that the future is going to be with peace. But it has to be with people that really represent the true and the strong identity from both sides.
Authentic people on the ground, real people.
And people that also view of all of the land as Israel as their home, and are not willing to give up on any inch of land. Because for me, and I'm secular, but I'm a believer. For me, I understand that it's not in my right to give up on what my forefathers were praying for during 2,000 years. And it all comes from the Torah and the connection to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And I see also in the other side of the Palestinians, similar connections to the land, but from different angle. And I think that if we can bring, the people that really represent the true and the torch carriers of their identity to be in the same room and speak eye to eye about the hard issues, we can progress. And also, very important, there's a big gap between our neighbors, the people that live in the communities that are either the villages, the Palestinian cities, or even refugee camps. There's a difference between them and the Palestinian Authority. It's two different things. And when I engage with Palestinians, I see these differences all the time, but it remains below the table because of the dictatorship that doesn't allow people that have different voices from the narrative of the PA to express themselves and even connect with the Jewish neighbors.
And I'd like to get back to that, to your understanding of what you call the dictatorship, the PA, the Palestinian Authority, who are oppressing their own people. And you, again, have hands-on experience by many visits in the Palestinian Authority areas and discussions and communication that you have with residents of the refugee camps and in the Palestinian Authority and so forth. But before we do that, I would like to ask you to get a little personal and to tell our viewers, who is Inon Dan Kehati? Are you a Jew? Are you an Arab? Are you religious? Are you secular? Are you a peacenik? Are you a right-winger? Who in the world are you, Inon?
Wow, so many questions. Let me try to write it down. Well, I'm Inon. I'm 40. I live in Jerusalem for the past 5 years, and I came from basically a very secular background, living in Kiryat Ono, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. And I was never really, until the age of 34, involved in on the ground in social activities, in political activities. I don't really have political affiliation, even though I support the right wing in Israel. And I can say that I'm a free thinker. I'm not even a believer in Hashem. I know that there is Hashem from my personal experience. So, you know, when you believe in something and when you know something, it's quite different, in my opinion. And I try to do what I do based on guidelines from the Torah, which is not easy, and bring them to the peace process. And I'm not a peacenik. I believe that also when there's enemy and when there's war, we need to fight. We need even, unfortunately, to kill when it's needed. But I do believe that most of the people on the other side are normal people, people that seek basically to live good life, to live normal life. And I think that eventually we will become a one state, which is going to be Israel. And the people who are going to accept the conditions that also relating to the Torah, and also based on the reality and based on the history, will be part of Israel. So we're going to be basically restoring our sovereignty, and our neighbors will be part of the system, but not in a way that, again, the peace industry or foreign powers will dictate to us. It's going to be based on values from the Torah. And I really, really believe in the value of federalism, also that Dr. Mordechai Kedar, who is a good friend and also a very excessive person that I have so much respect for, he needs to be part of the, like really on the front lines of discussions with Palestinians, because his emirate plan really is a very, very fundamental idea, political idea that must be combined into the system, the future system that we're going to build here.
You know, and you've touched on so many important issues. I think that if we dive deep into each one of these issues that demands more understanding, we could be here for hours in this discussion. And I'm sure that if you agree, that we should have this conversation again and speak about different political concepts that could be in the future future proposals to administer this complex situation. You mentioned Dr. Mordechai Kedar, who we have great respect for, and federalism, and somehow including the Palestinian residents in part of Israel, and how all of that would work. And you also spoke about the dictatorship of the Palestinian Authority from your own experience. I really would like to ask you a bit about your own experience. Currently, it's forbidden for Israelis like you and I, Israeli Jewish people, to enter the area that is under the occupation of the Palestinian Authority. When we drive on Road 60 through Israeli towns, we pass by these huge red signs that inform us in Hebrew, English, and Arabic that beyond the sign is the Palestinian Authority. It's forbidden for Israelis to enter, and it's life-threatening. If I were to cross past that red sign, I could be killed, and it would be at my own risk because the government of Israel forbids me from entering the area under the control of the Palestinian Authority. And you, in your activities, have gone into the Palestinian Authority many times to visit with our Palestinian friends in the refugee camps, in Bethlehem, in the cities, in Ramallah, and so forth. And not too long ago, I read a post that you wrote on your Facebook page telling that you were detained by the police of the Palestinian Authority because they realized that you are a Jewish Israeli, and they detained you. Could you tell us what happened?
Yeah, basically, first and foremost, these red signs, as you said, are from the Israeli government, basically, that also brought the Palestinian Authority. And I believe, therefore, it should be our responsibility also to change and initiate to change the situation. But regarding the issue, the case that you described, so basically what happened, it was way before the corona, about 7-8 months ago. I was going as usual to visit my Palestinian friends in one of the neighborhoods in Bethlehem. And as a Jewish Israeli, I'm not allowed to be there, but it's like a gray area. I mean, if I was Arab, Muslim, Israeli, I could go there, and nothing, it's not forbidden because you have family and relatives. But for a Jew, it's dangerous more for a Muslim, basically. And I try not to, take unnecessary steps or take risks or unnecessary adventures. But I always keep, informing, my Palestinian friends that I'm coming, that I'm not going there just to wipe hummus in the middle of Bethlehem. It's very important to say because Israeli Jews should not look for adventures there. And
although
there's
the
also
hummus is the great love of the Hasbara hummus, they love hummus, and the great Israeli dream is to wipe hummus in Damascus. So you go and wipe hummus in Bethlehem, but you're saying that you don't go just to wipe the hummus, you go for more important activities.
Go to meet with, and we sit in their houses, we talk, we meet new people, we basically like every, like regular thing of visiting friends. It's not even about politics.
By the way, Inon, I from time to time I write on my Facebook feed something about normalization. Last week I was on TV on I-24 on the Arabic station. I was a guest on a panel there for an hour with Arabic-speaking analysts and politicians from the Palestinian Authority and so forth. And I confronted a minister from the Palestinian Authority who said that there's going to be a third intifada. I said to him, the Arab states want normalization, and Israel wants normalization. And normalization will be good for the Arabs and for the Jews who live in Judea and Samaria. So one of the people who follows me on Facebook said, what do you mean by normalization? What is that normalization? And what I'm trying to say is normalization is what you just described. Normalization is people who are Jewish and live in Jerusalem could drive into Bethlehem and meet people who are Arab and Palestinian and sit down and have a coffee or hummus. That's basically normalization, a normal activity that could exist anywhere else in the world. So tell us what happened, because we don't have normalization, and you were there in Bethlehem visiting friends, and what happened?
So basically, there was a roadblock of the police of the Palestinian Authority to arrest thieves and people that smuggle illegal things. And by coincidence, they stopped me as well. And the Palestinian policeman say to me, "Jib el-Hawiya, give me your ID." I give him my Hawiya, my ID, and he see that I'm Israeli Jewish. He said, "Inta Yehudi?" And I say, "Ana Yehudi." And I start to explain a little bit what I do, not too much get into details, of course. And I must say that the Palestinian policemen were very respectful. They detained me for about half an hour, 1 hour, and gave me also coffee. One of the officers there was an uncle of my friend.
We're big coffee people. See, we could be Jews, we could be Arabs, but number one, you need to have some coffee.
Yeah, it's number one, number two, and number three, and also number four. But this is so basically the procedure when a Jew is being stopped in Palestinian custody. Since they have a lot of coordination with the Israeli army and also the Israeli police, which is not now, by the way, because it stopped about 1 month ago. So they basically turned me over to the Israeli army and the Israeli police. And
turned you over, that means that you were deported from the Palestinian Authority back to Israel. You were extradited.
Yeah. I was sitting in my car and on my side there was a Palestinian with an AK-47 and guiding me all the way to the meeting point with the Israeli army. And I must say, they have a lot of coordination. They have good relationship regarding security coordination. And again, what is the PA? It's another tool of the Israeli government to control regarding security. And it's not really a body that really represents the Palestinian people, I must say. And there's so much gap between the people that I speak with, and I'm talking about hundreds, maybe thousands, and what I hear from people like you talk on I-24, I think it was Ashraf El-Ajrami, no?
Yes, the former minister for the prisoners, which means
Yes.
he's the guy who took care of paying salaries to terrorists who killed Jewish people.
And basically these people, supposed to represent the Palestinian people, but they were not elected for 15 years, and they take into jail or detain or intimidate Palestinians that speak differently from their narrative. So, and this is connecting also to the peace industry. The peace industry in Israel, unfortunately, they view the Palestinian Authority as the legitimate representatives of the Palestinian people.
Well,
they speak
they're
about
the legitimate representatives or the illegitimate representatives of the Israeli peace industry, because the Israeli peace industry appointed the PLO and they brought them in from Tunis to govern the Palestinian people.
And basically, it's like a big tree of ego that they climb that they can't go down. I mean, if they will say, maybe we were wrong, it kind of will take all of their ideology from under their legs. And again, this big issue that on the one hand, the Israeli left is supposed to represent values of democracy, freedom of speech, and freedom in general. And on the other hand, supporting dictatorship and people that don't represent their people, that says it all for me. And I have connections and friendship between people from a lot of areas, especially Bethlehem and Hebron. They speak very differently about the situation. They want something very different from what the Palestinian Authority is reflecting in the media and in their agenda. And I think, therefore, normalization should be with the people, and that's exactly what we do in the home. And unfortunately, nobody supports us, nobody helps us. This infrastructure, and I must say, I'm not...
It's again unique, it's unique that you are not receiving any support from anybody, where you are actually bringing together Jews and Arabs for peaceful coexistence activity with no political agenda. And there are literally millions and millions of dollars in foreign aid that is being poured into the peace industry, to all of these organizations like Rabbis for Human Rights and Yesh Din and Yesh Gvul and Peace Now, and all of these organizations who are professionally igniting the fire and causing more conflict, and they're receiving funding from the international community. And your organization that has no political agenda is not receiving any support at all.
It's not really correct to say that we don't have political agenda. We do. Our political agenda is basically restoration of Israeli sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, and including the Palestinians, based on the framework of Dr. Keidal and, more ideas. But, the thing is that we speak about not only politics, we do have an agenda, but it's not agenda that is affiliated to any Israeli party, because this is what also gives me the freedom to really be a free thinker and do things that I think are right, and they work, but nobody, unfortunately, support them. And I see in the peace industry all the millions of dollars that are being poured there for years and years, and the achievements are still zero, nothing.
I would like to hear the end of the story when you got arrested by the Palestinian police, and then you were handed over to the Israeli authorities. And how did that event end?
Basically, it ended in a three-hour interrogation in the Israeli police. Also very nice, not aggressive or something like that. 3,000 shekel fine on bail and criminal record, which...
Now you have a criminal record for visiting people.
Yeah,
You're a
basically.
criminal. You went to have coffee with people, so you have a criminal record.
I
Did you
basically
steal the
break the
coffee?
law. Huh?
Did you steal the coffee?
I actually wanted to steal the makluba, but you know, that's what I have. But I had, after that, I contacted the civil administration, the Israeli civil administration, got a permit to go into area A, which is also a possibility. But you know, for me, I see all of Bethlehem is my home, so I don't really feel that I need a permission to go to visit Bethlehem or Hebron or Ramallah. But you know, that's me.
You know, and I wanted to ask you, after we've heard the overview of your organization and your activities, and heard the story of you yourself being detained by the Palestinian Authority and then by the Israeli authorities for crossing over into areas that are controlled by the Palestinian Authority, you spoke about the dictatorship, the PA, the Palestinian Authority, the PLO, who oppress their own people. And recently you posted on Facebook a story of an individual who was a Palestinian who was arrested by the Palestinian police because he takes part in picking up garbage with the home, with your organization. Could you tell us about that story?
Well, this story is basically based on dozens of similar stories that I know personally. And this story actually, I made the post about a week ago, but the case actually happened a couple of months before. And when something like this, you know, this happened, I don't immediately make a post because I don't want to put my friends into more trouble. So this guy now is free, Baruch Hashem. Basically, the idea that, you know, when we bring Palestinians to meet with Israelis from the wrong side of the political map, which is not the Israeli peace industry or the left, there are a lot of snitches and there are a lot of agents of the Palestinian authorities in these meetings, and they basically, you know, get money and turn these Palestinians into the Palestinian Authority.
Turn them in for what? I'm sorry. I'm not sure if our viewers are following.
For drinking coffee
Palestinian people came to a meeting and drank coffee with Jewish people, and there are snitches, there are spies who attend these meetings and report the Palestinians to the Palestinian Authority because they did something wrong by meeting with Jewish people and picking up garbage. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah, and because the Palestinians didn't receive the authority from the Palestinian Authority to go and meet with Jews that are not part of what the Palestinian Authority support.
So in the Palestinian Authority, a Palestinian needs to receive permission to pick up garbage with Jewish people.
Basically, yeah. Bottom line, yeah. There's no freedom of speech there. There's like, if you meet with the wrong kind of Jews and speak with, you know, about different ideas. By the way, in our meetings, Palestinians can say everything that they want, including speaking about, you know, they can speak about Palestinian state, about one state. It doesn't matter. But you know,
yeah, I know, because I have attended some of these meetings and have taken part in these conversations, and I voiced my positions, and Palestinian people in the group have expressed their opinions, which are very distant from my position. That's all cool.
Palestinians that are very right-wing, you know, regarding Israeli politics, and I find Palestinians, you know, from the left. It's all good, but you know, when they try to present to us, especially the peace industry, that all the Palestinians are like this, and they want the Palestinian state, and they support the PA as their representative, it's simply a big, big lie. And
so just a second, this fellow was picked up by the Palestinian police because someone had ratted on him for attending a meeting, having coffee and picking up garbage. And the Palestinian police called him in and they said to him, no, and they sent him home, right?
It was more complicated. He was basically detained for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks. And,
for what?
You know, in most cases, I must say, in most cases, Palestinians being detained for about 1 day, couple of hours or something like that. But this guy was detained for 2 weeks. And basically, you know, in his interrogation, they showed him pictures that I didn't took, or people from the home didn't take, from the cleanup. And they asked him in the interrogation, why do you pick up trash? Who sent you to pick up trash? Is Inon a Shabak agent who recruit you? Like, question. I mean, I wish I was in the Shabak. I could do so much things.
In the Palestinian Authority, if a young person, a young Arab Palestinian, crosses over and kills an Israeli, stabs him in the back, then the Palestinian Authority will pay him a huge salary for the rest of his life. But if that same young Palestinian crosses over and meets with some Israelis in a friendly way and has a cup of coffee and then goes out with them to volunteer to clean up garbage, then he'll be arrested and held for 2 weeks in jail in the Palestinian Authority because he's committing some kind of crime.
Correct. And also the peace industry will say nothing about that. They will not even defend or even try to help people like that.
For people who are listening to this, this might help you understand when you ask, well, if there are Palestinians who want to live in peace with Israelis, why don't they say so? And here we're seeing that if someone says so, then they can be harassed, they can be held in jail, they can be questioned, they can be threatened. And obviously, we're not hearing tens of thousands of Palestinians saying, enough, we want to live in peace with the Israelis, because no one will protect them.
And not only that, we cannot even hear the true voices from the ground that really can reflect what might be the real macro point of view of the Palestinian society. We hear just one very, very narrow narrative based on the PA. That's what happens. Basically.
And I want to thank you for, first of all, for all what you do and for your vision and leadership. And I want to thank you for taking the time to speak with me about everything we've spoken about today and doing it for the second time. I appreciate that. Please tell our viewers where they can find you and the home and learn more about your activities and maybe even volunteer to participate.
So we have a website. It's www.the-home.org. We have a Facebook page that is not really active nowadays because of the corona, and also regarding because of the Palestinian Authority intimidations and stuff. But we're gonna reoperate very soon, Bezrat Hashem. And the Facebook page is Step Into the Home, one word. And again, I just want to say also that we now do a process of reevaluation, getting more strong Jewish people from very strong Jewish identity into the picture of the home, which is one of them is Rudy Rothman, a very brilliant guy that his future is very, very ahead of him.
Rudy is a great guy. I like Rudy.
Also, Kay Wilson.
Kay Wilson, great person.
Also, many
good people involved.
Many Palestinians that we cannot reveal their names, but we do.
Obviously, because if we reveal their names, they would be harassed by their authorities.
Right, and it's not only one or two. I'm talking about hundreds. And Bezrat Hashem, when we're gonna do more things, and when we're gonna have real freedom of speech here, I mean, in the area of the Palestinian areas, then we might see progression on the ground. Bezrat Hashem.
Amen. Inon, thank you very much for being with us. Yeshar koach.
יברכך השם מציון וראה בטוב ירושלים.
Amen. Amen.